This is from the P section in the beginning of your book. P stands for preliminary, and this is the preliminary stuff you should know. So let's do a few of the problems. This is from the chapter end test of that chapter P. Exponents. 7 times x to the 4th times 3 x to the 3 halves. So here's times 3 x to the 3 halves. I'm going to rewrite this in a different order, combining my numbers together and my variables. 7 times 3 is 21. X to the 4th times x to the 3 halves. I add the exponents. So this will be x to the 1/4 plus 3 halves. Add, you need a common denominator, so this is 6/4. So the answer ends up to be 21x to the 7/4. Next problem is number 64. 5 radical 2x minus 2 radical 8x. I'm going to write radical 8x differently. I'm going to write it as 4 times 2x. Because now that perfect square I can bring out as a 2. So I have 5 radical 2x minus 2. The 4 I'm bringing out as a 2. Radical 2x. So I have 5 radical 2x minus 2 times 2 is 4 radical 2x. I have 5 of these minus 4 of these, leaves 1 of those. So I have 1 2x left, and that's all. There's my answer. Rationalize the denominator. 1 minus radical 3 over 1 plus radical 3. To rationalize the denominator, I need to multiply this equation by 1, but I'm not going to just call it 1. I'm going to multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. The conjugate of the denominator. That will get rid of the radical in the denominator. So when I FOIL the top, 1 times 1 is 1. Minus radical 3 is minus 2 radical 3's. Negative radical 3 would be a positive 3. Denominator. 1 times 1 is 1. Outer cancels, inner cancels. Radical 3 times a negative radical 3, minus 3. Combine your like terms. 1 and 3 is 4 minus 2 radical 3. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. From this point, 2 different ways to do this. One would be, I could factor out a 2. Two times 2 is 4, and that's the 2 radical 3. I could have factored out a negative 2. There's a negative 2. And cancel. And then my answer is negative 2 plus radical 3. Not the only way to do it. From this point right here, you could have written 4 over negative 2 minus 2 radical 3 over negative 2. 4 over negative 2 is negative 2. 2 radical 3 over negative 2 is negative radical 3, so I'd have a minus a negative radical 3, which becomes plus. Done with the problem. Next problem. Factoring. We can factor this by grouping. We can group our first 2 terms together. Our first 2 terms together. We can group our last 2 terms together. When you look at the first 2 terms, they have an x squared common with both of them. So if I factor out an x squared, I'm left with x plus 5. The second one, 5 times 16 is 80, so I'm going to bring out a negative 16. And I'm left with x in my first spot, and the second one I'm left with a plus 5. Negative 16x, negative 16 times 5 is negative 80. Now, those are common, so I'm going to factor that out. And then I'm left with x squared minus 16. And then the very last step is factor it if you can factor it more. Difference of perfect squares, x plus 4, x minus 4. So there's your whole answer. 110. Let's simplify this. X cubed minus 1. If you don't remember how to factor cubics, there is in the back of your book, not on the flap, but the second to the last page, they have algebra formulas and definitions. And at one of those formulas, they have written a cubed minus b cubed is equal to a plus b times, I'm sorry, a minus b, that's not a plus b. A minus b, it's pluses in the last part. A minus b times the quantity a squared plus a, not x, ab plus b squared. So they have that formula second to the last page of your book. They have difference of cubes and sum of cubes, the formulas for those. So I basically have an x cubed minus, this is 1, but you can think of it as 1 cubed if you want. So let's factor that. It factors into x minus 1 times the quantity x squared plus x plus 1. So there's my x cubed plus minus 1. Denominator, I'm going to factor 3 out. 3 x squared minus 1 times 6x plus 6. I'm going to factor a 6 out. Denominator, x squared plus x plus 1. The only thing that you need to factor now is x squared minus 1. And let me just factor that right now. That factors into x plus 1, x minus 1. Let's simplify. X minus 1, x minus 1, x plus 1, x plus 1. Your x squareds. And I'm left with 6 over 3. Which is 2. Done. Very last one. Let's neaten this problem up. Fractions within fractions. So what you can do is multiply the whole thing by x minus 5 by x minus 5. Okay? It's supposed to be parentheses. That's a really bad parenthesis. So, distribute. Distribute. So let me do that. I have x minus 5, plus 2, x minus 5, minus 18 over x minus 5 times x minus 5. Denominator, I have x times x minus 5, minus 1 times x minus 5. And you don't need to write that 1 there. Minus 12 over x minus 5 times x minus 5. These will cancel. Those will cancel. Distribute the numerator. X times x is x squared. X times a minus 5x is minus 5. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times a minus 5 is negative 10. Minus 18. Numerator. Now let's do the denominator. X squared minus 5x minus x plus 5 minus 12. So let's reduce that one. X squared minus 5x plus 2x is 3x. Minus 10 minus 18 is minus 28. Denominator, x squared minus 6x minus 7. See if we can factor it. Let's see if we can factor numerator. Let's see if we can factor the denominator. I know this is an x and this is an x. I know one will be plus if it can factor and one will be a negative. So is it 1 and 28, 2 and 14, 4 and 7? And it looks like 4 and 7 might work. 4x minus 7x is negative 3x. Here again, it's a plus and a minus with your x's. 1 and 7 is the only thing that could work, and it looks like it does. Cancel, cancel. Your answer then is x plus 4 over x plus 1. Done. And there are the review problems that I chose. If there are other review problems you would like to see, would like me to put in a video, send me an email.